And welcome back to This Week in the USHL. Bernie Corbett, joined by my partner Paul McNamara, is back out of the cold and in the warm studio as we get ready for our USHL team coach segment this week. We're going to be joined by Luke Strand. He is the coach of the Sioux City Musketeers, currently 11-9-2, third place in the Western Conference of the USHL. Real tight conference race right now, only 7 points separating teams 2 through 8. And he has 11 players right now committed to play Division I college hockey. Luke, welcome to the program. Glad you could join us here tonight on This Week in the USHL.
Thank you, fellas. I appreciate the opportunity for sure.
Well, as often the case as we've gone around the league here during the first part of the season, many interesting names crop up on these USHL rosters. You've got some very high draft picks, and you've also got some sons of some very famous, well-known names in the world of hockey. I guess we could start with talking a little bit about a couple of your high draft picks. You've got Max Gady, who's the third-round pick of the San Jose Sharks, and Caleb Herbert, who is a fifth-round pick of the Washington Capitals on your roster, who is currently tied for first in scoring.
Yeah, no, both players Minnesota-born and came out of high school hockey ranks there, and before they attend their respective colleges. Caleb's going to University of Minnesota Duluth, and Max is off to Mankato State University, Minnesota State. So a year of junior hockey, I think, is a good seasoning event for the two of them, and they're both completely probably different players in the big picture. Caleb being a high-end skilled kid, a right shot forward with endless talent that way, and Max is a power forward who's got a bright future for the fact of his size, and he can compound his skill and his attributes that way, along with a pretty hard body to play against.
And Coach Strand also, Bernie mentioned there's some named players on your team. You've got Eddie Olchuk's son, the second of his kids to play in the USHL. Tommy Olchuk plays for you as a third-year player.
Yeah, Tommy's he's one of our captains. He's got a lot of attributes as a player that you really enjoy to coach. He's a very coachable guy. His point and his numbers production-wise is a little bit, I think, when you hear an Olchuk, you instantly think Eddie, you think scoring goals, you think, got a little bit different body type than Eddie as far as not as tall, but an endless brain for the game, and he's our first penalty killer out the door every time. I can play him any position up front. And at the end of the day, he's the right guy in the room. He's the right guy on the ice in the situation, is an intense situation. He's the guy who's going out the door.
That's a nice feeling as a coach, eh?
Yeah, it is. It's you need those blankets sometime, and his consistency is there. And, as a young player I know in the league, I think a young guy jumps in this league, and then some guys take note at it, and they wonder, okay, what's he going to be? And Tommy he's persevered, and I think he's really plowed forward with and added different layers to his game, and he makes it a really effective player for your team.
You also have a second-year player, Ryan Carpenter, who is currently tied with Caleb. What is his plan now for the future?
Carpy's he's our captain. He's scheduled to go to Bowling Green University. They're going to get a very good player. I know a year ago he came to the league. He's a Florida resident, but played midget hockey up in Michigan, and joined us after playing with Honey Baked, and kind of just found his way around, maybe more of a checking role a year ago, and right now he oftentimes plays on a line that plays against the opposition's top group, but he's got the skills and the ability, and he's got a big body, so he turns their defensive maybe lapses on the opposition side to his offensive abilities, and he plays in that front position for us on the power play and does a great job as a bad goalie out there in that spot as well.
Coach, talking to Coach Luke Strand from the Sioux City Musketeers. Coach, let's talk a little bit about your background and your history with the league. Way back when you were a player in the league, and you've coached around different levels, and now it's like you've found a home back in the USHL. Tell us about your walk through hockey and your career, and how you've ended up here, and what your future looks like.
Yeah, it's a pretty unique setting, I think.
Not that anyone can predict the future, but
Pardon me?
I said, not that anyone could predict the future, but...
No, I know I've got dreams and aspirations where I want to end up. I'm from Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and played high school hockey there, and actually was off to play baseball at Indian Hills Community College in Iowa, a pretty perennial powerhouse, and it was down at school there playing ball, and happened to swing by Mason City, Iowa to see my old Bantam coach, who was P.K. O'Hanley, and P.K. coaches Waterloo in the league currently, and at the time was coaching Mason City, North Iowa Huskies. Had a player go down, and I played for him that night, and kind of raced home and grabbed my gear and moved to Mason City and called my parents and said I wasn't no longer going to school. I was playing junior hockey, and that didn't necessarily hit the best button. But
what a shock.
That went over really well. Yeah.
It went over. The nice part is, and the best part is, and it stands true to anybody that has a chance to play for PK, they knew him as a family man and had been a part of our family already, so the transition that way was terrific. And played in Mason City for 2 years and went back to my hometown, and it was a fortunate situation there. I went to Wisconsin Eau Claire, Division III school, played hockey and baseball there for my college career, and then played minor pro in the United Hockey League, which was an experience, and got into coaching. Went back to Division III level right away, and at St. Norbert College, and St. Norbert's over in Green Bay, De Pere, Wisconsin, and got a high-end program there with the good boss and Tim Coughlin, who brought me in and kind of let me grow. And I was fortunate enough to switch jobs after 3 years with Tim. Just not even have to change addresses, but got in the USHL as an assistant in Green Bay with Mark Osiki. And Oz and I were together for a year. Then Mark Mazzolini came in, and I stayed with Maz for 1 year there, and had the opportunity to go back to my alma mater again as a head coach there at Division III and as an assistant athletic director. So it was a kind of a different move for me, but I kind of wanted to put some ducks in a row. It was a whirlwind, but I haven't really left the Midwest. And after 2 years at Eau Claire and an opportunity arose that I didn't know that would come about to go from Division III to the American Hockey League, and it was a blessed opportunity by Kevin Constantine and Doug Riseborough, and to join Minnesota in the Houston affiliate down there, and spent a couple of years learning from some very, very solid teachers and great men, and Kevin Constantine and Troy Ward, and able to come back to the United States Hockey League. The Junior Hockey League is it's a big passion of mine. Guys get a lot of life lessons here besides their hockey careers getting started. There's a ton for them to learn on and off the ice here.
Yeah, that's true.
True. No question about that. I want the movie rights after that story. My gosh, you've covered. You've been around the Midwest, but you've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, I just come back to the Midwest. I found that out pretty quick. I can go without the snow, but otherwise, good folks. And the league itself, I think, is probably what set me aside as a determining factor to go back to junior hockey and get out of pro was the idea that this league offers so much. I mean, you're dealing with NHL picks, you're dealing with Division I college. There's some kids that sneak through the cracks and just fall through and end up being Division III players, and you're just preparing young guys to be young men, and it's an honor and a treat to be involved in this league.
And as a guy that played in the league back a number of years ago, it must be a real amazing to have your perspective on what this league has become, how it's grown exponentially since your involvement going way back to Mason City and the team with P.K. O'Hanley.
Well, the league has grown, I think, in many aspects. One being the business side and the building side. I mean, it's a big business, and it's at the same time, I think the growth of it within, love my experience in Mason City, Iowa, but that's probably what our practice rink looks like now compared to those buildings now are just really nice. I think there's a lot of amenities there. And then on the player side, it's heads and tails. I mean, we had some good players back in the league at that time with the Ferraro brothers and some guys who made some names and made some headway as players all the way through, but I don't think there's nearly the depth of the high-end players there is now, and I know for sure the speed of the game is unbelievably different now than it was then.
Yeah, that's for sure. And Sioux City, you talk about really kind of finding a home. It's your second year as the head coach of the Musketeers, but they've got a great tradition in the league going back over 30 years, and who knows, that could be home for you. You could kind of maybe settle down, put roots down there for a little while anyway, Luke. It'd be a good experience for you.
It would. You know what? It's been, to be a general manager and a head coach in this league is exciting. I think the coaching fraternity that's in this league is very competitive. It's always an honor to see guys that advance, whether it's in the college route or the pro game. And but just the guys who have stayed here and really built this league upon itself, they deserve a ton of credit. And PK and Mark Carlson and Wes Lillard, guys have been through this and stayed on it, and they've made the league what it is, and it's a fun place. And Sioux City in itself has got a great, rich history between the old days of pro and the long-standing junior hockey that's been here.
Well, Luke Strand, we want to wish you, first of all, a great Christmas season, and best of luck with the Sioux City Musketeers the rest of this year and continued growth in the USHL, and hope we get an opportunity to talk to you again later on this season.
Thank you, fellas. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks very much, Luke. Happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays there, too. Thanks.
Luke Strand, our guest in our USHL team coach segment, and as is the case with a number of the guys that we've had an opportunity to profile, Paul, a great perspective on the game of hockey when you can combine playing at the junior level, playing at the college level, coaching at the college level, coming back to coach at the junior level. And in the case of Luke, the fact that he, as he mentioned, he worked with Kevin Constantine and Doug Riseborough, guys that have great NHL resumes. Yeah, no question about it. I mean, the type of exposure that he's had to hockey in terms of coaching, and
no one's going to pull any wool over Luke Strand's eyes.
I don't think so. The one guy we didn't mention got away from us there was Jake Suter, the son of Gary Suter, and
right.
Gary, I think of Gary and the great tradition of Badger hockey and outstanding NHL career and
1980 team.
Absolutely, and along with going all the way back, I think of him. Kind of he and Chris Chelios synonymous with Badger hockey, and also with representing their country the number of times that they did, putting on the USA sweater the number of times that they did, and having the great roots back to the state of Wisconsin, which no surprises where Luke is from.
Right, exactly.